So we're at the Buddh International Circuit for Porsche Experience 2024, and basically what this is a perk of our job. It's one of those days where you just get to go all out with very little commitment to actual work. It's basically when Porsche brings some of their really exciting cars out on a track like the BIC, which is absolutely perfect, and just lets us go mad with it. Belting around the track, we've got a bit of slalom as well, some drift courses, and that is done with the help of some really experienced instructors who are Porsche official instructors, so you get to learn a lot, but of course it's all about having fun, and that's exactly what we did today. So the first thing that we started was the slalom course. It just was a bit of a warm-up to get us used to the track and the cars and the conditions. It's quite chilly here, so the road temperature was low. You had the tires that were cold as well, so it did get some time to get used to. We started off with the Carrera S. Obviously it was a convertible one, but it was still a Porsche at its best, and that means handling was phenomenal. It's rear wheel drive only, not a lot of power, but it still has the chops, and on that handling course it really did come into its own. And then we jumped into the Turbo S. And that car is an absolute monster. 0 to 100 is just 2.6 seconds. It is a mighty fast car. It's fat at the back. It has tons of grip, 4-wheel drive as well. And that 3.8 liter twin turbo flat 6 engine just is glorious. Changing the modes, and just tells you how agile these cars are. Even though they are sizable, they are still very nimble and very fun to drive, even on a tight slalom course. Then we moved on to the drift course, which was with the GT4 RS, the Cayman, the 718. And again, that car is the absolute track monster. It's got the Vinayak pack on it, so you've got roll cage, 500 horsepower, the engine from a 911 GT3, and well, all they said was turn into the corner, blip the throttle and try to hold it. Well, obviously a lot of us failed, a lot of failed attempts. 1 or 2 times is where I managed to catch it, but you know, that was part of the learning process. You need a lot of practice with that sort of a thing, and of course the instructors were more than happy to help out. And then the main event was the laps around the BIC. Now for that we had 2 segments. One was with the EVs and one was with the ICE. Thankfully I got to experience the EVs first, which meant the best was saved for the last. We started off with the Taycans, which are, I mean, really fast, really quick, really big, but they don't have the sound and the drama. I hopped into the GTS first because I'd already driven the Turbo S, and we've obviously driven the standard Taycan from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. The GTS on the other hand, we'd never driven, and immediately that instant EV acceleration was apparent, and of course then Porsche has done its magic to the steering, which again comes into its own on a track like this. But what you can't really get around is the weight of the thing. It is very heavy, and well, you just have to keep that in mind. Apart from that, the dynamics are absolutely superb. But if you want a bit more practicality, there was also the Cross Turismo, and thankfully I got to sample that as well. Now obviously it's not as powerful as the GTS or the Turbo S. It's also heavier because you have a bit of extra weight at the rear, and the form factor is not really of a performance car. It's a lot more to do with practicality. However, it still can hold its own. It is a Porsche at the end of the day, so you know, overall it just doesn't feel out of place. The weight and the braking points are the only things that you have to sort of look out for. But the best part arguably has to be the ICE versions, because that drama that you get from the exhaust, that's just glorious. That is what makes the entire trip worth it, the entire day well spent. And thankfully again I went from ascending order, so jumped into the 718 first, which is the smallest, the most nimble, and doesn't have a lot of aero, doesn't have a lot of power as well, 500 horsepower, but on a track like this it really feels completely at home. It demands a lot from you because it is very snappy and you cannot really make mistakes with it. But if you drive it on the edge and drive it like it's supposed to be, it is extremely rewarding. Then you have the Turbo S, again mighty on power, mighty in terms of acceleration, but you don't have the downforce that you have on the GT3 RS. Thankfully I drove the Turbo S in the middle, so I had a bit of a reference point. Again, speed is incredible on the back straights. You can easily do upwards of 250 kph and it just sits happily. But then it is the GT3 RS. The best, thankfully, was saved for the last, and that car is just marking its territory on every racetrack. It's a sub 2-minute car on BIC, and that says a lot, and a lot of that has to do with the aero. The wings and the inlets and the outlets are not just for display. They do a very, very good job and a very, very technical job at that. Now, I'm not going to get into that. We already reviewed that plenty. If you've seen Gavin's review, you'll know it's a 20+ minute review, so he's done his bit. We've of course had the lap record, so the car has seen its share of time on this track. But as experiences go, this is one of the finest. This is what we all do this job for. Every once in a while there is that time, there is that one day that you get completely no holds barred. You are on your own, they tell you do what you want. It's just to have a lot of fun, and that's what we've tried to do here, and we've obviously been very successful at it. Now, Porsche Experience 2024 has been an absolute blast. The next one will be even better. I just hope that I get to do this again.